but I'm not greened out. Oh!
Hey, it's early yet, man.
Yeah. Whatever you just tried to pick up, you didn't pick up.
Oh, I tried. I thought about throwing it on the ground, but I'm not gonna be like that guy.
Yeah, thanks.
But I just left it there.
Yeah.
All right. We can't edit any of this. We don't have that. Well, actually, we can't edit it. I have capacity.
I don't think we have to. I think that this is perfectly fine to put inside the podcast.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Everything's straight.
People like this type of content, I feel like.
You guys already back there?
Brian?
Brian's
good.
Brian's good. All right.
Yeah.
Coffee?
Mm-hmm. Coffee. How about you lead us off?
Yeah. So, welcome everybody. It's just like you and me with Ben and Mike. We've been wanting to start this for a long time. We've kind of started it in a way with Clap and Faffin.
My bad.
No, it's been a long time.
It has been.
It has been a really long time.
We've been out for a while.
We have. We've been doing a lot.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot. We both got married.
Yes, sir.
Which is kind of crazy. Both got married. We both played basketball yesterday.
Yeah, I broke my ankle though.
You did. I completely got them. I just did a 1-2 euro spin around the back.
Yeah.
Ben was gone. I think you at least slid like 10, 15 feet. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. In retrospect, yeah, maybe. Maybe it was around that much. I don't know. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's been like 12 hours.
It has been. I'm still tired. I actually haven't slept since. I was just so excited about that moment.
I bet you were.
So, a little bit about ourselves. So we've been friends now for 7 years. You showed up at our house. We moved from Illinois to Ohio. We've had a lot of aspirations to start a lot of different businesses and podcasts and everything in between, and now we're doing it. So we're really excited to bring our perspective of the world to you guys. Ben, do you have anything else to add about what we're excited to do?
No, I just want to, I don't want to add anything, but I will add that, no, I'm just kidding. We've always wanted to start a business. Always. Literally, basically since day one.
Yeah.
And it's nice that we can finally do this podcast. We're making like $5,000 per podcast.
Which is actually insane.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
We lose it all really quick, though.
Yeah, we do. We all spend it, There's lighting, and we spend all our money on lighting. So please, if you can, just, sub.
Like for the lighting.
We need to pay for better audio and a new camera, and that's going to run us probably about $20,000, I would say.
Minimum, I think.
I think that's what you need to have a successful podcast.
It is. It's not about how good we talk or what we're even talking about.
The content doesn't matter. It's all about the equipment.
It's only
maybe get some like LED strips or something like that. Maybe put some stuff around the table.
Yeah.
Ooh, we could get a succulent.
I like succulent. I like the word succulent.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of like podcasts. There's a lot of like random like clips that are popping up on like Instagram and stuff like that, and they all have succulents on their table. I think it might have something good to do with the algorithm, but I'm not sure.
It really might, and like if this doesn't take off, it's because the lack of succulents. It really is.
Probably. I really do think succulents are the way to go.
I think succulents and success, because they both start with the same letter, really go together. If you don't have succulents, are you actually even successful at all?
Well, I mean, it's a sign of like deep academic excellence because both consonants and alliteration. Succulent and success both start with S. Successful succulents, you might say.
That could be another business.
Man, we could make a podcast with that name.
We could. We could just talk about succulents and success and what it takes to even, like, what is a succulent?
When you're researching all this stuff, they always tell you when you're starting your own business, don't go for what other people are going for because that never sells. Even though there's like 2 trillion YouTubers that all have over 1 million YouTube subscribers that all make the exact same React content. But no one does succulent content as far as I'm aware.
No, I think that could be something we branch out to. We just watch a bunch of YouTube videos and just write succulents.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, guys. Comment down your favorite succulent below.
There's different kinds of succulents.
I don't know.
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out, exactly.
It's only one.
Someone's got to comment what their favorite succulent is. It could be, I don't know, does Japanese bonsai kind of succulents?
I think you could argue that it could be a succulent.
Okay.
Just because I think just the size.
Yeah.
I think if it can fit on your desk,
it
could be described as a succulent. But anything like you put on the floor, that's like a floor plant.
Yeah. Or maybe we need some sort of like a waterfall or something.
something a little bit more zen.
Or you
Like,
had like just like a random like something strange, something unique that no one else has. Like we put like a maybe like a high chair right here.
is the bald guy not enough?
The bald guy.
Yeah.
I mean that's just it's a Dunder Award.
Is it what's it?
Golden Dundee is that what
This
they
is
call
this
them?
is the Stooge of the Week award.
Oh, Stooge
I
of the Week.
happily won that.
From what?
I don't remember, and that's probably why I won it. I think it was at your wedding.
Was it actually?
Yeah.
We had awards at my wedding.
Chris gave me an award at that wedding. I earned it. I earned it, and the liver paid for it.
Yeah.
But it was a fantastic time. But yeah, I won the Stooge of the Week, and best boss.
Have you seen that Barstool podcast that they do with I can't remember his name. I think his name is Caleb, and he'll go on like a podcast with like a famous athlete or actor or something like that, and they have like a random guy just on the side
Yeah.
who's just eating ice cream.
Yeah.
We need something stupid like that. Like just have like maybe like a baby eating like goldfish or something like that.
We can raffle it off to one of our subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
If whoever's comment gets the most likes on this next video post on YouTube, you can sit in the background.
I don't know, Brian. What do you think?
Brian.
Yeah, Brian's like, yeah.
Brian likes it.
Yeah.
I like Brian.
Me too.
He's a good guy. I don't know where he found this guy. It's just Brian.
Yeah, we'll put Brian in a podcast someday.
Yeah.
Brian's a great guy.
We have to get Brian the podcast.
Yeah. No, just stay there for now.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's a little early, buddy.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna go into news roundup. I think a lot's happened in the last couple of weeks.
Sure. I guess we can just branch off into that. Sure.
Yeah, I think it was a very hard turn into it, but we're in here now. We're in our news roundup, and there's actually something I wanted to talk about that we haven't discussed yet. But I don't know if you saw in New York, Kai, I believe his name is.
Kai Cenat, yeah.
Yes, he got arrested for inciting a riot.
Mm-hmm.
For I think it was a meetup, a meet and greet, giveaway type thing. And I don't know if you saw any of the clips from it. It was absolutely insane.
As a content creator, I can't imagine, like, not just being Kai Cenat or something like that, but just looking at the perspective of, like, what other content creators are looking at that now in terms of, like, meetups and stuff like that. Because the meetup is an age-old thing that every content creator has done really since the beginning of content creation on the internet. I mean, like, people have always met up with their fans online. And it's never, ever turned into something like this before.
No.
So, I mean, I feel bad because, like, people, for example, like Good Golf or PewDiePie
Milk Boys
or Aiden Ross or something like that. Any one of these guys that, like, has set up some sort of, like, meetup with their fans, like, you have to look at it, like, from a whole new perspective now of, like, what can I do to make sure that this doesn't turn into that riot? Because from now on, everything that happens in terms of, like, how content creators do meetups, everything is going to be based off the risk that was shown in the Kai Cenat situation.
I agree 100% because I like the Nuck Boys. Shout out to the Nuck Boys. Watched a lot of the videos and they do some meet and greets when they did Happy Dad, and there was a couple of them they had to shut down because the cops came and there was too many people going crazy. But nothing has ever gotten to this escalation point.
No.
And I wonder how that's going to shape meetups going forward. Is it going to be? Are they going to have to actually run out a whole venue and sell tickets for it? Are they is the tickets going to be free? Are they going to charge money for it?
Yeah.
Because we needs to be more safe.
Yeah. Well, I think the meetups won't change. It's like it's what you do inside the meetups, because this was a specific meetup for like a giveaway of a PS5 and a bunch of PCs and a bunch of other like random stuff. And he did it in such a location, like, he's from the Bronx. Yeah. So I mean, he's from New York. So that's where the majority of his fan base is going to be. Probably the most wild ones because they're proud of him being from their city and what. So these are going to be really crazy people, and they're going to want something from him in return because they want him to give back to his city, right?
Yeah.
So when he goes there and he's unable to provide a PS5 and a PC to every single person that thinks that they deserve it, of course they're going to go crazy. I can't imagine. Like, I just don't know what his PR team or whatever team he has that was planning this whole event was thinking when they were like, let's go to Union Square, the most public place in all of New York City. And let's get 1,000 people. Let's get as many people. He was literally talking about it in a stream before. Like, I think, I don't know when it was before the stream, but he was talking with some guy, and they were talking about, they're pointing at some store, and they're saying, they're all going to be in front of this store. It's going to be crazy. which was the understatement of the century because
Yeah.
it was a little bit more than crazy. It was insanity. I mean, it was
Yeah.
literally insanity.
I mean, they labeled it as a full riot.
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean, it was a riot. I mean, they destroyed property too. So
yeah, and it's I feel bad for him because I don't think he ever tried to incite a riot. I don't think that was
no.
his intentions at all, and it's unfortunate that he ended up getting arrested for it. I don't know if he ever got out or even was
I
charged with
think
anything.
he got charged. I don't know if anything has happened with in terms of like court proceedings. I think that they set a date for August 18th of
Okay.
when there will be a hearing. He did a really stupid thing. I
Yeah.
mean, like there's got to be like the problem is like it sucks that what happened, but there has to be some sort of consequence because you have to prevent something like this happening in the future. I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Um,
dangerous. I mean, people could have gotten hurt, died,
oh yeah,
or something.
yeah.
So
I don't know what the number was. I think it was like 65 people got arrested. Someone can fact check me on that, but I think it
yeah,
was
Brian,
yeah,
you want to get
Brian.
back to
Yeah,
us on that?
sure, yeah,
So we have them.
exactly, yeah,
But yeah, I think it's very interesting to see how that all plays out and how it's going to affect the creator space and meetups in the future.
yeah.
And then we actually had a viewer comment and ask us to talk about news, and the news was actually like property taxes in Hawaii. And this person, I know him very well, is a very dear friend,
Mhm.
and I know that they've always wanted to move to Hawaii. So
I know someone who will not be moving to Hawaii.
who's that?
Kai Cenat. Just
You can't leave the city. um, but I think that's something that people don't really think about. They think Hawaii, you think palm trees, volcanoes,
yeah.
island, hula's dancing, all that fun stuff. You never really think about the property taxes.
I don't know why you would.
I mean, I think it's legitimate. I was looking to buy a townhome, and
Yeah.
the property taxes is what got me. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm like, oh, monthly payment mortgage is fine, and then
Yeah,
three
you're
thousand
Summit
dollar
County.
yeah
Yeah.
$3,000 a month or a year property taxes just really got to me.
How much is it?
3,000 a year.
A year?
Yeah,
Yeesh.
it's more than you would think,
Yeah.
but it's better than Illinois.
Yeah. I mean, what is that per month?
Brian,
Yeah, we're just gonna abuse Brian.
that's what we hired him for, though.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
he's all in good faith. Brian's a good guy.
Yeah, that's true. He's a
He's
good guy.
yeah, 2 kids. I mean, he's fantastic. He's a good husband
Mm-hmm.
to his wife Jeanette. You know, but yeah,
Yeah.
well, they said we'll
We'll
get
have to meet Brian and Jeanette and have them both on the podcast
yeah,
someday.
100%.
Yeah.
That'll definitely come.
Mm-hmm. No, you
Like,
don't need to bring it right now.
relax.
That's fine.
I'm happy he's not mic'd up. Let me tell you.
That would be funny. We should get him mic'd up.
Yeah, we 100% will. When we get him
Yeah.
on the pod, we'll make sure he's mic'd up so you guys can hear him properly.
100%. Yeah.
But like right now,
We'll get him on so you can
yeah,
see him too.
he's a good looking guy.
He's a good looking guy. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Brian.
I mean, property tax in Hawaii, I don't know. It's probably pretty indicative of like where we are right now in terms of everything going on in the country. I mean, every price is going up everywhere. Everything is expensive. I mean, but Mike and I both work in the housing industry, specifically with like mortgages and stuff like that, and we see the prices all the time. And especially in Hawaii, Hawaii is crazy. I mean, like you'll look at Hawaii and compare it to some place like West Virginia. West Virginia is like one of the cheapest states in the country right now, where you're probably paying minimal amounts of property tax with a house that's worth $150,000 for probably 2,000 to 2,500 square feet or something like that. Whereas, like, if you go to Hawaii and you're getting 2,000 to 2,500 square feet, that price is immediately being bumped up to about $600 to $700,000.
It's actually insane.
Yeah.
And so I was actually looking, and they only have the second highest.
Really? Who's higher? California?
Oregon.
Huh.
Why? Who's going to Oregon?
Oregon? I mean, Oregon's a beautiful state.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
But dang. The median housing value in Hawaii, though, is 772,000.
772,000?
That's insane.
Jeez.
When you go out here in Akron, Ohio, that price for a home is like a mansion. It
That
is
is the crazy
absolutely
thing.
huge.
You look at appraisals all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, so you get to see all these properties from like, just the front, like every single one of them. I mean, you can see some of these houses that are appraising for like $500,000, which can be a super nice house,
Yeah, depending on the area,
depending on
100%.
where you are, or it could be a really terrible house. So you're like, DC, 500,000 gets you nothing. Like,
No, you're lucky if you have like 2 bathrooms.
yeah.
It's
Or like Los Angeles or San Francisco or something like that. Like you're getting a shed, pretty
yeah.
much.
And then you go down to like Texas, southern
Mm-hmm.
Texas, you get a nice, huge, brand new house. Even
Yeah.
though Arizona is huge and they're growing
Mm-hmm.
rapidly. And then you go to the Midwest, you can get it's just different. You just go on the edges of our country. It just gets way more
Scarcity
expensive.
creates value. So I mean, when something is scarce, it becomes a commodity, and housing is a commodity right now. So
It
it
is.
just the value is being driven up. But people are building new developments every single day. So hopefully that value starts to go down.
Hopefully. Well,
Not for unfortunate for the homeowners, but for the people that actually want to buy a house in the next 5 to 10 years, it's perfect for you.
100%. I
Yeah.
mean, it's painful right now, and I definitely want to get a house and get that responsibility, really get that next step into adulthood. But
Yeah.
you have to do it financially, like the correct way. You can't go out and just put yourself in a ton of debt.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I have been able to minimize most of our debt, so we're in a really good spot. And we're trying to make sure we make the correct moves to
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
stay
you're able to
financially
get
stable.
awards like this. I mean, it's
I
not
did.
something small,
It
even
isn't,
though this award is small, but it's not, the idea of it is not.
and that's the whole point of the award.
That's
It's
the whole
just
point of the award.
it's so much bigger than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's gonna go with our next little segment. We're gonna talk about just hot topics,
Sure.
you know. And we're reviewing some notes earlier, right before the show, and you found ick.
Ick.
What is ick?
I don't know, dude. I
We're
saw,
smart. Let's figure it out. Well, I think we
sure.
can figure it out.
The basic idea that I got from it was that certain people in this world have certain things that turn them off and gives them this feeling inside where they go like, ick, right?
Turn them off in what way?
It's like you're like, oh, like like I look at you for example, and let's say I'm a completely different person and you're a completely different person,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you do something that I don't like, and like before I had met you, I thought like, wow, that guy has a really nice beard. I love his hat. I love his hair. I love his mic. His shirt's amazing. But then all of a sudden, like you scratch your nose, and I'm like, oh,
Ick.
like, and I don't know why, but it just turns me off to like your like aura or something like
Okay.
that. I don't know. Personally, I don't subscribe to this type of feeling, like
Yeah.
how I judge people. But
Mm-hmm.
I understand that a lot of people do struggle with this problem. It's probably a mental illness,
It could
honestly.
be. It
But
could be. It needs to be addressed. I think.
yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of people do a lot of different things, and just to think ick, you have to
Mhm.
you have to love everybody who they are. Everyone's going to be a little bit different,
Mhm. Well, I
and
think it's like really, it deep down, it's everything has its connection to everything else in some way, right? And one problem that I think a lot of people struggle with nowadays is like the balance between taking care of yourself and being able to express yourself to take care of other people, right? So I think right now, especially, people really are entrenched in this idea of self care, right?
mm-hmm.
And self care is like what makes me happy, what makes me feel good, what can I do to help myself out, and as that takes prominence inside your life, what ultimately must take, the lower side of your life is taking care of other people. So you begin to care less about other people and
Okay,
about what is actually good for them. You care more about like what they do and how it affects your personal self, right? So like you might do something that really makes me feel bad. And so I take that and I'm like, I don't want to improve that. I don't want to impede on that person. I don't want to try to change that. I don't want to impose myself on the other person. I'm just going to cut you out of my life entirely.
mm-hmm.
And so people start to really distance themselves from other people. I think it's really interesting because you think about like how algorithms work on social media, for example, right? And let's say I like a video, and all of a sudden, let's say TikTok, Instagram,
Yeah,
Twitter, any social media that has a good algorithm will think like, oh, he liked this video, so he's got a specific interest in this video, right? So I like this video and I skip the next video. And they're like, okay, the algorithm notices and it says, okay, he didn't like this video. We're not going to show him that video again.
Yeah, but he liked another
So
one.
it's like, it's the same thing with like icks, right? Is that I turn myself away from certain things in order to like the other things I like. And then the more that I turn away from the things that I don't like, the more the things that I do like in life are going to start showing up, right? Like an algorithm in social media. Like I like videos of football or golf or pool parties or something random, right? Just like anything. Like it could be literally anything. Like, and you'll notice like on TikTok, especially TikTok has like one of the most nuanced algorithms in the world. It's like one of the most highly advanced. It's one of the best in terms of like how it can get you the stuff that you like, right?
Yeah. What do you get on TikTok?
A lot of soccer.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get a lot of soccer?
I don't even like soccer. It's just like those are the videos that I watch, like because they just captivate my eyes, right? That's the stuff that pops up all the
When
time.
when you want to laugh, what kind of videos do you usually see on social media?
I don't know, dude. There's crazy stuff out there every day. Like I feel like the most like shocking videos are typically the ones that end up making me laugh the hardest. And like you guys know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's not really anything that you can describe as like your particular interest of what makes you laugh on social media. There's just always like a few viral videos that come out at a time that'll get like 2 million or 4 million people, and everyone agrees that like they're just really funny videos, and
Yeah.
it could be crazy content. Like I'm trying to think like what was I just showing you? Um,
You showed a video that it was a clip of the introduction of a video, and then it changed into just the comment section. But every comment,
that's not the one I'm talking about.
that's the one I can
everything was
remember.
removed. Yeah,
Every comment was removed, and there's something about just being a little obscene that's just it's funny.
mm-hmm.
What I liked about what Vine did, and I guess now TikTok and Instagram, is it really showed the whole world that we're all pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
We all find the same dumb things. I
Yeah.
drop my croissant. Just hilarious. Like, really for no reason. Like, it's a dude dropping a croissant.
Yeah.
But it's just hilarious. I've watched it way too many times. And that's what I really love about social media. It's been able to bring everyone together in a really cool, different way that we never have had in society. And that's where we're kind of still working like through is figuring out how social media truly does fit in society. I don't think we've fully figured that out yet.
No.
It's completely changed how we interact with each other, how we're able to communicate.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You go back to our parents only 20 something years ago. They were not able to do any of this on their own. And I think that we need to actually, social media has always just been such a normal thing.
Yeah.
It comes out, it's normal, we're all doing it. It is what it is. I think we need to look at it as more of a tool and actually analyze what we're consuming on a daily basis. Because it's completely changed the world.
Yeah, there's a lot of dangers with it. I think one of the biggest dangers and like one of the biggest selling points of social media in general is that it desensitizes everyone to just the normal craziness of life, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't really realize how crazy life is when you're just living it on a daily basis and everything seems like it's just kind of, you know, melatonin, everything's the same. Like you're going to work, you wake up, you eat, you go to work and stuff like that. But then you go on social media and you'll just see some like just a straight like 50 minutes to like an hour, like you're just scrolling, right?
Yeah.
And you see nothing but just craziness, right?
Yeah.
And like that's what social media is there to kind of remind you of, that life is crazy, right? But where that becomes a bad thing is when you start becoming so desensitized to the point that like your life loses all meaning because all the serotonin and all of the dopamine that you get that's released comes from just looking at your phone and being on social media. Because what ultimately ends up happening is like people who are living their lives don't seek out anything in life that's gratifying or doing anything that is like fulfilling because they can just go to their phone and get a simple dopamine release rather than trying to work at something, do something for a long time, plan a trip, go with friends, spend money to go somewhere, go traveling, or take up a hobby, art, reading, writing, and stuff like that because they can't get the immediate satisfaction that they can get from social media. It becomes a big issue, right?
Yeah, it's super unfortunate. I find myself struggling with the same thing. I mean, I
Yeah,
had to delete certain social medias at certain different times. I no longer use other social medias just because I was finding myself just wasting so much time on
yeah,
it. I might have been having fun, but in the whole grand scheme of things, it was not helping me. I was not growing. I was just sitting there, just mindlessly scrolling.
yeah. They call it death scrolling now. I saw that term. I was like, oh, that's so true.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it completely killed my attention span. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have to consciously try to gain it back. I'll literally just sit and stare at a single point of the wall
Yeah,
and just make myself focus on that just for a minute or two,
yeah.
just to just have control over my mind in that kind
Mm-hmm.
of way. It's a little weird, but it's helped me actually gain some attention span. I still
Yeah,
don't have a lot of it,
yeah,
just because of social media and how much, like, because my generation, it just kind of got thrown into us right in high school. It
yeah.
just blew up, and then no one
Mm-hmm.
knew how to defend young kids against it. It was just we're on social media, and then to even see like my younger siblings and what's happening to like these other like the iPad kids. Like there's
Yeah,
literally called
yeah.
iPad
The
kids,
iPad kids. Yeah.
and how it's messing with their development. They're completely different from what we did and how we were as kids. Not saying that what we did and how we were was the absolute best we could do,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just so different and it happens so fast. Everything's always been very gradual, and
Yeah,
it's scary to see. I feel bad for the kids and the parents.
yeah.
They don't, not necessarily they're doing anything wrong. They just don't know. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know. There's not been enough studies on this. It's it's such a hard topic to talk about. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
has a phone. A lot of kids have iPads and all these other things, and it's normal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one thing that you can definitely point out is the rise in, sorry, ADHD. I mean, ADHD is like hugely on the rise, just because you have a lot of kids that from a young age are just constantly like I mean, the nature of being on a phone is that you go from one image to another. It's frames, right? Where you view frames in a very different way from like the way that you just look at something in life, right? When you're looking at something in life, the frames are a little bit more still, right? The image is more still. When you look at something on a phone, typically like a video or a movie, the frames are composed to make it more, there's more movement, there's more action, there's more color, there's more vividness, right? Everything is a little bit moreness, right? That's really the best way I can put it. But when you see that, it trains your brain to only see the moreness. It only wants to see the moreness.
Yeah,
So you can't get by just viewing the stillness and almost really the boring like nature of like when you're just looking around you, right? Everything is so still. Um, and when kids are like from a very young age are trained to just look at a TV screen or to look at a phone screen,
yeah,
it trains their brains to not be able to focus on the stillness of natural life, right?
yeah,
Which is definitely like I can definitely say that that's the case for me. I mean, like it's very hard for me to be still now, and I think part of that is because I've altered my brain to just only want to see stuff. I love gaming, for example.
yeah.
I love watching movies. I love watching movies with my wife. Um, but it is something that I've really started to think about when because I'm married now, and when my wife and I have kids, how am I going to ensure that my kid is able to have a good focus and a good handhold on life to be able to approach everything that he needs to be able to approach in terms of like school, work. Like I want my child to be successful. I want to be able to train him to be a better marketer, a better business person than I ever could be, right?
Yeah.
And he can't do that if he's just looking at his phone from 11 years old or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard. I forget who it was. It was either it might have been Grant Cardone or one of these business guys that their son started working for him,
Mhm.
and the son was probably our age, a little bit younger.
Yeah.
He put in a full hard day's work. Right,
Mhm.
gets to 5 o'clock, kid starts playing video games.
Yeah.
Normal. That's a normal thing now. And the dad saw it and he goes, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Playing video games." He's off work technically,
Right.
and the dad goes, "It's the last time you'll play video games. Work does not end at 5. We're just so used to just compartmentalizing everything. Boom, work's done.
Mhm.
Now I'm on my phone. Now I'm eating. Now I'm going back to sleep." Yeah, like
Yeah.
we have a lot of fun. Like you talk about the dopamine and serotonin release we get from our phones, so it feels fun. At the end of the day, we're not progressing. You're not doing anything.
No.
You're not learning. I struggle with that. There's so many books I want to read. I have my goal this year is to read 4 books. It is August. I've only read 1.
Yeah.
And so I have time. The problem is I keep saying I have time and pushing it off.
Yeah.
But I spend so much time looking at my phone, I could have finished countless books by this point in time. And I know it's not just something that I'm struggling with. Everyone's struggling with it. We just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's because it's so normal and it needs to be addressed. It needs to be something that we're going to continually talk about.
Yeah.
As we continue to progress and grow and bring up as many points on it as we possibly can, just to get the conversation going. I was watching a podcast earlier, Joe Rogan podcast, and they were talking about a lot of the other issues going on in the country with like BlackRock, Vanguard, and the question was brought up like, how do we like solve these issues? And it's just talking about it. It's just making it a conversation point, so we all are talking about it and all working on it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not something we talk about, nothing's ever going to change. And who knows, someone else could watch this and it could end up going down the grapevine and getting to a bigger influencer, and they could talk about it on their podcast, and they have a bigger reach, and it will actually make an effect. The ripple effect is a real effect. No matter how small the pebble it is, there's ripples. So it's really exciting that we were mentioning this, and something I said we'll continually talk about.
Yeah.
We should have set a timer on this. I have no idea how long we've been going.
That's okay. Well, I mean, like, it's an interesting thing because, with that point being said, I mean, this is like one of the biggest reasons why we want to start doing this podcast and why we want to start doing this business online is because we can't get off our phones. So you might as well try to monetize it or to build it into something that becomes more productive rather than just putting yourself in an endless death scroll, right?
Yeah, 100%.
There's no point in not doing this because it's basically free.
Yeah.
It's fun. We like to discuss.
We're already I've mentioned so many times to you. We talk all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
I talk for free.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Well, we'll be at work talking. Those are our bosses. And we'll talk, and it's like we can do this, and it's a fun little get together. We get together once a week.
Yeah. Have
some meaningful conversations, and hopefully, you just strike a chord with somebody.
Yeah.
Just one person, and that could be awesome.
Yeah.
You know.
In life, you're either scheming or you're dreaming. If you're not scheming, you're dreaming. If you're not dreaming, you're scheming. So, which one do you want to do more?
We'll find out.
Yeah. Are you a schemer or a dreamer?
Let us know in the comments.
That was cheesy. I'm sorry.
But it
rhymes. Like the rhyming, people love stuff when it rhymes.
If you don't rhyme, you're not telling the truth.
Yeah, everything really... especially with podcasts, you need to have repeatability, right? You need something that people can hear for a clip, and just make that clip because it sounds like it's nice.
Yeah, that was a good cut. Hear that, Brian?
Brian, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Brian.
I love Brian. So we could do a little bit. I guess I have inspirational stories. I guess for next little segment.
Sure.
And so we were just recently at our buddy Calvin's house down in southern.
This is a good story.
It's a crazy story. Down in Cambridge, Ohio, just south of where we are at now, and we were golfing. And
well, I just want to say I like how you point at his location, but you didn't point at ours.
No, I mean no one.
No, just kidding.
He doesn't live there. He lives near there.
Oh, okay.
Definitely not just directly north.
Yeah.
Calvin, this is your shout out, buddy.
Right.
Relax, dude. So we went golfing. We enjoy golfing. Me and Ben are trying to get better at golfing. It's a fun little. It's like exercise, but non-exercise at the same time. So we decided to go golfing at this beautiful golf course down in southern Ohio, and it was raining heavy enough that it was really annoying, but not too heavy where it was affecting our play too much. And so this hill down in southern Ohio, believe it or not, it's I guess the golf course, not the hill, but was really hilly, insanely hilly. I think you said the slope rating was 127 or something like that.
Yeah,
it was absolutely insane. And then when we paid, we had to sign a little waiver, give our driver's license number. I've never had to do that at any golf course ever.
Literally had to sign a waiver to drive.
Yeah. It was pretty insane. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
But as the story goes on, you'll understand why. So it was Calvin in a cart, and then you and I were just golfing. I think we were on the came to the fourth hole. We're staying on the cart path just because it made sense to stay on the cart path. We weren't hitting it next to the cart path, but it was just so hilly. And it was wet. It was actively raining at that time, and we're like, okay, we're just not going to risk it. So then it stops raining.
Yeah, it got
We're
sunny.
feeling good. It got really sunny really fast. We saw like the dew come up. It was
rising from the ground.
It was really cool. It was gorgeous. You guys hit a couple bad shots that went kind of down this hill. Didn't quite make it to the fairway.
No.
And so I'm driving here with you in the cart. Calvin's right behind me. We see the ball down there. It had to be 100 yards down there. It was
was really far down the hill.
We didn't want to walk. So like I look at Ben, and Ben just goes, "It has to be dry now." So I go, "All right." I look over. Calvin starts to turn over to go get his ball. So I'm like, "All right, we're perfectly fine." We turn. The second all four wheels touch the grass, completely lost control of the cart.
Completely lost.
Completely. I look over to my left. Calvin is freaking out, taking his cart, going here. His cart's going sideways.
He falls out.
He falls out. His chair falls with him, completely wrecks the cart.
He's just sliding down the hill, going like 15 miles an hour.
It was a sight that I had to focus up. I was getting the fish. I was doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I was turning into the fishtails, and then we're getting closer to the woods.
Yep.
That's when you probably made a really good decision to jump out of the cart.
Yeah. But I definitely did something else right as soon as I jumped out too.
What'd you do?
Well, so I jumped out, right, and I kicked, and as soon as I kicked to get out of the golf cart, which is going down the hill at probably 20 miles an hour. It's really steep.
It was a steep hill.
I kick, and I start running. I almost fall over, face flat on the ground. Mike starts spinning, going down this hill super fast, and somehow doesn't manage to. He doesn't fall out.
No.
Yeah.
Captain goes down with a ship. I was in that. I thought about jumping out, like when you like jumped out.
Yeah.
But then I started spinning, and then I looked up, and the woods was right there, so I just took it. I was like, if I crash, I crash.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up facing directly out.
Yeah.
Didn't hit a tree, and we're perfectly fine.
Yeah. Somehow, like, literally wedged himself in between two massive, like, bushes and trees and stuff like that.
It could have been really bad.
I don't know how you didn't crash into them.
Guardian angel skill.
Yeah.
A little bit of both.
Probably mostly a little bit one of yeah.
Yeah, definitely. The viewers can definitely figure out which one that was. I think the funniest part about that whole thing was we stopped. It was silence. I yell, "Let's do it again!" And then you see the group above.
Oh yeah,
they saw the whole thing, laughing. It was. I really wish they recorded it.
Yeah,
that would have been our moment.
But I mean, literally, it was like the split second that we decided to go down the hill, we looked over, and as soon as we lost traction, Calvin was out of his cart and just sliding down the hill.
Yeah.
And the worst part about it was he got a massive gash on his arm. I mean,
it's scarred.
Huge.
It's scarred.
Oh yeah, I mean it was like a 2-inch gash just straight down his bicep.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think my favorite part of that whole thing is we never talked about driving into the grass.
No, we just did it at the same time.
We all made the same bad decision.
Yeah.
The same exact time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I'm never going off the cart again. Or when we go to that place, cart path.
Oh yeah, no.
That was nuts. Calvin.
Oh no,
He just was doing it after that.
Yeah, that was the crazy thing. I mean, this guy literally almost broke his arm and just still continued to just drive on the grass like it was nothing. Like he just didn't care. It
was impressive. He didn't crash. I don't think he even lost control.
He didn't. But I mean, to be fair, he definitely got drier after that.
It did.
It started getting really hot. Yeah. But yeah, he's a crazy guy.
Yeah, he's that was whenever I hang out with Calvin, there's always some kind of story.
Yeah.
There's never been a time that there's not been a story out of that.
True.
And so, speaking of friends, and I have another buddy who asked a good question. It could get really deep,
okay.
and it could not get really, really deep. It's how has Zen impacted your relationship with God? I think that might apply to me a little bit more.
Probably. Because
I do Zen, I guess what the kids call them. I got a little lit pillow every now and again.
Lit pillow?
Yeah. I forget who's that guy on Instagram that just like talks. He's like, "Hey, what's up, buddies? I got my lip pillow." Have you seen that guy?
No.
Oh, we'll have to clip him in somewhere. I forget his name. Brian, can you find that clip? He's got it. He'll get it.
He'll get it.
He was mentioned in the podcast with Tucker Carlson and the Nelk Boys.
Okay.
I figured I can't. His his name. I should have done my research before I added this in here. But how Zen has impacted my relationship with God.
There's no way you can connect these two things.
Watch me. When you're addicted to any kind of substance,
oh my gosh,
it really has a negative effect on your mental health, your relationship with your family, and God.
Right.
I mean, you're focusing on getting yourself that buzz, that high.
Yeah.
I smoked a lot of vape back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Juul, all that stuff. What was his name?
Hyde,
and then who was that? What was that little guy's name?
Oh, Julius.
Yeah. and that really kind of pulled me away from listening to my parents saying, "Hey, that's gonna hurt you." And I mean, I have asthma, so it's not even a good thing for me to be doing.
Right.
And so then I started zenning, and that allows me to get the fix of nicotine that I was looking for without the negative effects of nicotine, being that head rush, that feeling of just groggy, just low energy. And I'm not going to say because I don't vape, I can pray better, but it's made my quality of life a lot better, and I feel so much more healthy.
Yeah.
That it's actually made my energies increase. I'm able to focus a lot more. I don't feel that I'm bear down by any substance. I don't need to have it every single day. I like when I'm golfing. Every once in a while, if I have a long drive, I'll throw one in. But I think I just killed that. Connected.
Yeah, you did. You did a good job. I mean, really, it's the story of life. I mean, like when you become addicted to one thing, I mean, you become fully committed to that thing.
Yeah, no matter how big or small or even what it is, it can be.
It can be good or bad. I mean, like sometimes being addicted to something, like being addicted to something that you love, like can be in some sense a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing to be addicted to doing good things, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's real addiction, but
it depends on what it is. I think everything comes down to, I've always said this, with just balance, like homeostasis, finding balance, and you can be addicted to
like habits, or like having like a process of life. Like I wake up at a time, and like you might think of that as like, oh, it's a habit, it's not really an addiction. But I mean, like someone, for example, who's woken up at 6 a.m. for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
That's not just because that was a habit. It's like literally built into his body, like his circadian rhythms and his bloodstream are telling him to wake up at that time.
Yeah.
And to be awake at that time and to do something at that time, like your whole body becomes accustomed to doing something when you make it your process, or you make it your daily habit, or I forget what the word is that I'm like looking for.
Routine.
Thank you. Yeah, like routine should be addictive, right? You should be addicted to your routine if it's a good routine. If it's a bad routine, then don't become addicted to it.
Yeah, and I think I like how you said being addicted to a good routine.
Mm-hmm.
People, like, I've always thought a routine is just like something super repetitive that you just kind of have to do. But to be addicted to it, when I hear the word addicted, it's something that you want to do. That you strive to do it. It makes you feel good to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Even like getting up at 6 in the morning is not always the easiest thing.
No.
Sometimes you're up a little bit too late. You ate too much food. You drank too much, whatever it may be. But having that drive, some people call it motivation.
Yeah.
You can people call it. Yeah, I really like using it as an addiction.
Well, people say like there's a saying like we are slaves to our habits. So I mean, like you can look at that one or two ways. Like, okay, are your habits good or are they bad? Right? Yeah. Like, do you have like a habitual feeling to do something that's productive, or do you want to play video games? Yeah. Right? Like if your habit is to just like when you're not doing something, just to go turn on your PS5 or PS4 or whatever it is that you have, that's a true slave ship that's not producing anything in your life. Whereas, like, I mean, if you've got a habit to, I mean, I'm not saying that you can't do that, but I mean, like, if you've got a habit that, you need to go and fix something up around the house, or you need to go fold your clothes, or you need to go make your bed, like, even like bring it back to like the Jordan Peterson sense of like, you need to do the small things in life in order to build them into the big things, right? Yeah. Like, you can't just go from nothing to making something big, right? Like, you can't just go from not ever having made a bed to just building a house, right?
Yeah, you have to start small.
You have to start small, and you need to make those incremental steps, right? Build those habits. Those habits become better habits, and then those habits become the best habits.
Yep,
right?
It keeps growing and progressing. And you mentioned bad habits, and we wrote a little bit of a blog about this topic on hopandfaffin.com. But just what I always think about too is when say you're trying to replace a bad habit, whether it be vaping, watching TV too much, whatever it may be, you need to replace with something good.
Yeah.
Because your body wants something.
It needs to do something during that.
Exactly. You need to occupy your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I found working. Like I find just doing something else productive makes me feel happy. I feel better about myself. My mental health increases. It's overall just a better experience.
Yeah.
And like I hate the days like it's a Saturday, like we're dead after a week of work, and then you sit on your phone and waste 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And what bothers me is I work a 9-to-5 job, right? And I'll spend 40 hours a week working for somebody else, but I won't take that extra time for myself and progress myself. Just kind of getting that slave mindset where I'm just working, I'm tired, and then I sleep, then I rest for 2 days, then I work again. It's something that, I mean, we're breaking it right now.
Yeah.
And just continually to kind of better yourself, push forward.
Yeah.
And just being conscious of what you're doing, no matter what it is.
Something that I've always liked saying is like the fullness of life doesn't have room for emptiness, right? So like you need to keep yourself occupied and doing something productive. You need to fill up your life, because if you don't fill up your life, there really won't be anything like that. People always think that like there's like an emptiness inside their lives, but I think that that's really not the right way to think about it. I think that when you don't fill up your life, something else will fill it up for you.
Whether you know it or not.
Whether you know it or not, exactly. It's like when you're not doing anything, something else is filling up your empty time. And that could be boredom. Like boredom is not nothing.
It's something.
Boredom is a very big something that can take away everything else. It takes away all the space you need to be able to grow in your life, right? Boredom, you'll get bored. Like the French had a word, the French word for boredom is ennui. And in French literature, ennui was a genre of literature where they talked about specific types of characters that weren't necessarily bored. They were people that were so fed up with life they didn't want to do anything because they didn't want to fill it up with anything. They didn't want to experience the joy and happiness of what a productive life could lead to, right?
Yeah.
They just wanted to be sorrowful and despairing. And so this was the decadent period of literature, right? Like they wanted to take away from like the stereotypical like everything is happy in literature, there's good endings and stuff like that. But I mean that's the reality of life. I mean, like boredom is that type of thing where like when you let your life become filled by boredom, you won't want to do anything else because boredom takes up your time. You're not able to do anything. And like we were talking about with bad habits, boredom becomes your bad habit. You're not able to do anything because your habit is not doing anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's not an absence. Like it's a very willful decision to not do anything about it.
Yeah,
right?
You choose to sit down and go on your phone.
Yeah.
You can very easily choose to go read a book. Very easily choose to go take a walk outside.
Yeah.
There's so many other things, and the hardest thing that I find is just making excuses. Like, I'll do it in a little bit. I'll just 5 minutes. I'll just one more video.
Yeah.
And to really like all the lies we tell ourselves to write, like, or the most lies are right to your face, like in the mirror, like it's ourselves, and being honest with ourselves in everything. And
this is why they say that it's so important to have like a solid group of friends, because friends won't let you become bored. And I also think this is one of the best perks about being married, is that like you could probably attest to the exact same thing, is that it's really hard to be bored because like I might not have anything to do, but my wife will have 10 things for me to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can always be productive because my wife will always like, oh, like there's nothing to do. My wife will say like, oh, we can do this, and this, and this, and this. And then we can do this, right?
Yeah.
And then after that we can do this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we can do all that.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. It definitely can be a lot sometimes, but then it helps us. That's why we have those relationships. That's why men and women are together we help each other out in those kind of ways.
Yeah.
Like I cannot see something and then Kai's like, hey,
yeah,
let's fix this.
And
I
think
beautiful.
friends do the same thing. It's like
good friends.
When you have
good
friends
do the
when
same
you have
thing.
good friends that want to do stuff with you, want to create like a podcast and stuff like that. And that's why we have Brian. I mean, Brian is literally putting this whole thing together.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Yeah. I mean, give a thumbs up for Brian. For Brian.
Please like for Brian. I mean, Brian puts so much freaking work into this thing.
It's
actually pretty crazy.
Like it's nuts. Like we're so grateful for Brian.
Yeah. But I mean, it's having those guys that inspire greatness in you, right? Like they want to do stuff that's great, but they don't want to do it without you because they want you to be part of it too, right?
Yeah,
That's the big thing. Like we wanted to start this podcast, but we wanted to do it together because we want to bring this places. We want to bring up the tough topics. We want to talk about the cool conversations,
yeah,
everything, right? But it's got to be together. Otherwise, it's pointless, right?
yeah. You bring everybody up. Like I was able to. We both were able to see a friend that we haven't saw in a couple months,
Yeah.
and just to hear how he's doing and see that. I know that we've talked about his goals before, him and I, and he mentioned that he surpassed his goal, and I'm so proud of him for that.
Yeah.
He was able to say he told us to like in 2018
Yeah.
by 25 he wants to have X amount,
Mhm.
and he did it, and it's absolutely insane, and I am so proud of him for that.
Yeah.
And that's what men need. And I can't speak for how women are, but men need that constant push,
Yeah.
that just working together, growing, no matter what it is. If it's golf, if it's just being more well read or prayer life, whatever it is, we just like to push each other, and it just helps us grow.
Yeah.
It's something that I've been around my whole life, being in sports. So
If you guys want to become great, you need to follow those who also want to become great. You
yeah,
need to surround yourself out with like the people that have the same goals as you, which is why every single one of you should continue to watch this podcast, like and subscribe, and maybe give us a few donations or whatever.
yeah. The Patreon will be set up soon. Um, but
Brian, you
what's
got that? Yeah.
he's setting it up. But so someone else, I forget who says it, but you're the sum of your five closest friends,
Yeah, 100%.
and that's never. I've growing up and looking at my life, you realize you
Mm-hmm.
100% are wherever. Like, so if I was at one point of my life, I look at my friends at that point. It's like, whoa, it makes sense. Then you go grow up and you look a little bit more, and you have
Mm-hmm.
different friends, and you're like, yeah, okay. It just becomes way more apparent to you.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's a great topic that we'll continually discuss as well, and
Yeah. Me
it's
too.
ever growing, and it's very pertinent to what's going on in
Mm-hmm.
the whole world.
But the way that, and it's interesting that you bring that up, but like part of the having your friends like on that topic, part of the way that human psychology works is that we can think of anything, right? Like we can think about anything that we want to, and you think about all the stuff that people discuss on podcasts, and they talk about topics like this, right?
Yeah,
And we could think the exact same things, we could say the exact same things as some of those people on those podcasts could say. You could say it in your own interior self, right? You can think all these things like, oh, I can be great, I can be solid, I can do all these things, I can build up these habits. But it's different when you have someone actually like saying it around you, right?
yeah,
It brings out like all of your senses because when you're thinking about it, you're not using your senses, and like your body is not fully absorbing what is actually taking place, right? When someone says achieve greatness, that's different than you thinking achieve greatness because when someone says it to you, it goes into your ear canals and activates different parts of your brain. It still activates the parts that you would have activated when you thought about it interiorly, right?
yeah.
But now more of your brain is being activated. That's part of why it's so important of like having people around you to say these things and to achieve them together is because it literally takes your entire body. Your entire body becomes committed to doing this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your ears, your eyes, your mouth, your brain, even like your arms. I mean, like you use your arms for the actions to help your friends out, to give your brother a handshake, or like play golf, or like play sports, or
Yeah,
anything,
using
right?
your whole body,
Yeah,
and it's a fantastic point.
yeah. You got to activate yourself.
And I love like working more closely with you is where I'm not only accountable just to myself, I'm also accountable to you.
Right.
I want to succeed and not let you down, and vice versa. You want to succeed and not let me down.
Yeah.
And it's not that we'll ever get mad at each other or whatever. It's
Mhm.
we just want to continually grow and get better.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing about just society and being present. It's just
Yeah.
working with your friends, growing can be your family, whoever you're most closest to. It's just constantly
Yeah.
growing together.
I think we got to make a community. That's the
Yeah, and
big
that's what
thing.
we're trying to grow
Yeah.
right now,
That's what we're doing.
and doing a great job on that. And as like with community, we also have to just give them some little insights of what we think.
Sure.
And so kind of a hot take that I guess and I kind of have is like that I think that off brand's better than name brand. And I know that's kind of out there and a little bit wild, but I think we should talk about why off-brand is better than the name brand. And
It depends on what echelon of society you're in. If you're in the lower echelon, it's much better because it's just a smarter investment.
it is, but I think we can also I think we start this conversation about in more in generalities. Does it matter if you're wearing Nike or eating goldfish? Like the not like
Okay.
the brand goldfish,
So,
not
yeah,
eating
yeah.
goldfish, the brand goldfish. Or is it okay if you're wearing Great Value, or you're wearing or not Great Value? Who's the guy?
I
Because they
don't
have
know.
George something.
Oh, George Mart. No, that's
Oh, this
the.
is
Are you talking about from Walmart?
yeah, the Walmart brand clothes.
Isn't it called George?
It's something else. It's Brian needs to get it up.
I think Brian fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie.
He's been working hard,
Yeah.
so it's really bothering me now that I don't know that
I'm
name
pretty
of
sure
it.
it's called George's.
It's George something. It really is, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be in the comments, and it's gonna be.
Or Kirkland
I think it's just
from
you're right. I think
Costco.
it's just George.
Yeah, it's just George. Yeah,
I
George.
swear it was
George
something
makes
else.
fantastic clothing.
He
Like,
does. They're good. There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with them. No, they're not flashy.
I mean,
and it's
I will
not-
say, like, in terms of like performance though, like typically name brand for sports is like you don't want to buy off brand for sports. I feel like Nike basketball shoes will always do better than and1 shoes. Like that's just
100%.
that's just a fact.
I think that's also a good argument. It just doesn't. It's not necessarily. I guess we can't like what I said with generalities. We can't. It's not just one's always gonna be better. It definitely comes down to what it is. I think when it comes to certain foods, it probably doesn't matter
Yeah,
unless you're that person that really can taste the difference.
yeah,
But for certain clothing, like I get most of my stuff from Sam's Club.
yeah.
Put
I
it on to
agree.
where
Yeah,
it is what it is. It saves
Sam's Club's
me.
great. Oop, I
Yeah,
dropped this.
just don't do it again.
My bad.
But then if you like, if you're able to spend a little bit more money and get something that's a little bit more flashy, kind of
Yeah.
like it's more of a flex than it might not necessarily be the best quality.
Depends what you're using it for.
Yeah, I mean if you talk about like winter coats,
Yeah.
North Face. I mean
Don't
they're absolutely
use
fantastic.
the word of lies. Like I mean, don't use cheap things for expensive activities, and don't use expensive things for cheap activities.
Just dropping bombs out of here, man.
Yeah, it's like it's the way you got to think about it, right?
Yeah, cut that.
I should have used better words. I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah, it won't happen again.
Yeah.
But
The idea was there though. That's what matters, right?
the idea was fantastic.
Yeah.
And as we're talking about clothes, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I personally don't understand why just blue always looks good on men. Notice that blue always looks good. We both chose blue for our wedding. We had navy blue suits.
Yeah, I mean,
We
it's
looked
just classic.
we looked good, but
Yeah.
there's a reason behind it. Classic is classic for a reason.
Yeah.
And I has to be someone with the color. I would love to get an expert on colors.
Yeah.
To talk about why blue looks good on men.
It's psychology. I don't know. I mean, it's like I think blue. I was reading up on this a long time ago. I remember like when you go to a restaurant, for example, like a nice fancy restaurant, the servers are typically wearing black, and that's for a bunch of different reasons. Like one of them is that like the darker clothing creates like a softer ambience in the room, especially if it's a darker room.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to kind of like for them to just not be seen by the eye, like in terms because they're moving a lot, right?
Yeah, and they're not necessarily like what you want to be looking at when you're
right,
at a
exactly,
restaurant.
yeah. And then when, for example, when you're at a fast food restaurant, a lot of people will typically wear red, and they say that like psychologically, red is a color that promotes more trust in your brain. I don't know how it works, for example, but I mean, when someone is wearing red, you just trust them more, I guess. And I think the way that it was with like blue, it's just a color of confidence, I think. I could be wrong in this one, Brian. You can fact check me, but I think that like people that wear blue typically look like they're more confident in something.
Yeah, I think this is still a great question, and I actually have a friend who studied fashion design at Kent State.
Okay.
And I would love to get her on, get her opinion. We get enough likes and subscribes on this. We could get her.
Brian, you can send that invite.
Yeah, send that. Just let her know. Got it. We'll talk about it
I love Brian, dude. He's
he,
so
oh,
good.
he is. He does a fantastic job.
Yeah, he does.
He's just can be a little extra sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
You know.
I mean, it's all good, you know.
Yeah, it's all a good fit. We're having fun.
Yeah.
That's just what we're here to do is have fun. I think we're at a good point right now. I think we can start wrapping it up.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for everybody who supported us throughout the years, and we're on a really cool next step in our adult lives, and it's really cool to be doing this with you and with all of you guys. We have a lot of big things coming in the future. We and then in a couple weeks we're gonna get a production manager on, and we're going to just continually increase the content. We're going to try to make it
create the clips.
We're gonna get the best production we possibly can for you guys. Continue providing as much value as we can.
And we're gonna have a wicked nice outro song.
100%.
It's gonna start like right now, kind of like lower on the. We're gonna be talking. It's gonna kind of like increase in sound, and then
just end and just really bring it all home. So, just thank you guys all. We'll be posting this soon, and then we'll be just posting every week.
Yep.
Until otherwise noted. But just thank you again, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Great time.
Just want to say thank you to everyone that listened to this entire thing. You could have listened to anything else, but you chose to listen to this, and that's a big thing. So we appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. This is
cool. All right, ready?
Yeah, we did
Let's do it. Hey, clap and faffing, dude.
Clap and faffing.
And the show.
We're out. Whew. That was awesome, dude.
I love this. I love you too, Brian. Thank you.